Perhaps you've heard the aphorism or the question, what would you do if you knew you could not fail? I used to think that that was just a fabulous question, so exciting. And I couldn't quite put my finger on something though, because it also bothered me. What would you do if you knew you could not fail? And I think what bothered me about that was that in the universe, as I experience it and understand it, I don't actually have total control over the success and failure of my actions. So while that invites us to think big and to be bold and brave and courageous, kind of begs the question, what if you do fail? One of my favorite things about gaining insight into the three principles as uncovered or articulated by Sydney Banks is that failure is actually an option. What I mean by that is that the game of life and my experience of playing it and your experience of playing it is not determined by success or failure. The amount of joy and aliveness that's available to us in every moment is not determined by external results. It's determined by our relationship to our experience. The degree to which we are excited, enthused, engaged, inspired, open, and present in our lives is the degree to which we experience excitement, pleasure, joy, engagement, connection in our lives. It's not ultimately the outcome. This frees me tremendously. It shows me that life itself can be approached the same way we approach a piece of art. As an artist, I don't ask myself, what's the right thing to create? I go inside and I wonder, what do I want to create? And it doesn't make sense to assess what I want to create in terms of whether or not it's right or wrong on any scale, whether the scale is one of morality or one of success and failure or the likelihood of success or failure. The only thing that really makes sense is the sense of connection and the vividness of the inspiration. The bottom line for me is that more and more I'm seeing that we are always making it up. We are always creating or co-creating our experience of life by means of mind, consciousness, and thought. And if we're always making it up, we might as well have fun. We might as well go for it. We might as well make up what occurs to us to make up. And each of us, and I don't claim to really understand this, but each of us seems to be a somewhat unique kind of critter. So that what occurs to me to make up in my life will be different from what occurs to you to make up in your life. Given a box of crayons and a blank wall, each of us will draw something different. And the point is to show up with the crayons and the blank wall and to play. So recently I've been making up that I want to work from a gift economy, or a gift ecology as some people have it. For several years, I haven't felt really at home with the idea of charging set fees for my services. And at first I thought that that was a sign that somehow I was making up weird stuff about money. That suddenly, after 20 years of a successful career in which I have charged at the top of my profession, I suddenly was not comfortable with my value. That suddenly I was not willing to ask for something in exchange. And I was really wondering, what am I getting wrong here? And a lovely coach one day asked me what was wrong with just going with my preference. And the light came on, and I thought, I don't have to understand, defend, or justify why I want to invite people to pay what they choose for my services. It just makes sense to me right now. When I really felt into it, I didn't find fear. I didn't find small thinking. I just found a new way of working in the world that I wanted to experiment with. And so for the most part, and I say for the most part because I'm not married to being consistent, but for the most part, these days I work in a gift ecology. I invite my clients to reflect on the value they receive and to reciprocate that value either by paying back to me or paying forward into the web of life some form of that value. It could be monetary, it could be in the form of services and care. There are so many ways in which we're wealthy when we take the blinders off. And I don't know that this is the right way to do business. How could I know this? I don't know that it's going to work in terms of whether or not I'm going to be able to pay my bills over the long term this way. I'm just really curious and really enthused about it and having a good time. So far, it's working out. So far, I'm paying my bills. So far, I'm having an amazing time with clients who wouldn't have come to me otherwise because money might have been perceived as a barrier. This is just one example of how I'm discovering or how I'm dancing with this opportunity to make life up as we go. Another one that came to me just a moment ago is my marriage. I adore my husband. I can't explain it. I can't justify it. Sue me. I think the guy rocks. I am so happy to be in this marriage and so grateful every moment of every blinking day. And it's through no real fault of my own. It didn't look like the wisest choice when we met in a bar 42 years ago. It didn't look like the wisest choice, given that he was 18 years older than I am. It didn't look like the wisest choice in that he was still in a marriage that was breaking down. There were so many reasons not to go there. And yet we did, and it worked out. And it might not have. The moral of this story is not follow your heart and everything will always work out exactly the way you want, because I can't promise that. I don't know that. It's follow your heart. Be in the moment. Show up for the game of life. And you're going to have an amazing time, even if sometimes along the way you have heartbreak or bankruptcy or injury or loss. There's no controlling the outcomes in the game of life. But we have so much choice when it comes to what we put into life and how we respond to the promptings that come from our spirits, from the universe, from who knows. If you stayed with me this long, thank you. It's a longer video than I usually do. I hope you've gotten a feel for the possibility of making up your life any way you like and being free of worrying about how it turns out. Because in the next moment, in the next year, in the next situation, you'll get to keep making it up. I'd love to know how this lands with you. Take care. Talk to you next week.